Hello, everyone. We are here at this episode of Between Two Teachers. And this is where we have a discussion about the issues in education locally and statewide and even nationally, and what it means to us. The national picture often addresses us personally in our neighborhood schools very often. So, and in our communities. So, we want to pass on information, and these days we're giving warnings of things that may be coming, very very possible. We also have good things going on, and but especially we want to have call to action and tell you the do the shout outs and who to support, and because there's people out there doing some very good work, and we want to support those individuals also. So today's October 4th, and my name is Consuelo Lara.
And my name is Madeline Cronenberg, and this is our 211th episode of Between Two Teachers. And as always, we will begin with the land acknowledgement. We pause to acknowledge that we have gathered on the ancestral territory of Hui Chin, part of the unceded land of the Chochenyo and Karken speaking Muwekma Ohlone people. We remember their continued connection to this region and thank them for allowing us to live, work, learn, and pray on their land, and offer our respect to their elders and to everyone who is part of the Ohlone people, past and present. And we offer to you the opportunity to join us in supporting the Muwekma Ohlone people in their effort to get federal recognition, as they have not been recognized as a tribe and they're not able to gain the benefits of tribal recognition until they do get recognized. And you can learn how to support that effort by going to Justice for Muwekma. And you can learn more about the history of the Ohlone people here by looking at the curriculum that has been developed together with the Ohlone people, and is available for teachers in our schools and for any community members interested in reading it. And it's available on the East Bay Regional Park District website, where you can go and just search for Ohlone people. And it's also available on the Contra Costa County Board of County Office of Education website, right? Where
website, when you go under about, and it tells you about the process of land acknowledgements, and even has a map of the different tribes, which is really useful. So how you could put something together for your meetings. I think it's very, very important we acknowledge these cultures, because right now there's a lot of this stuff is in danger of being targeted. So for us to be inclusive culturally is so important at this time. So
it really is. And it certainly, when we first started Between Two Teachers, we weren't doing it. I mean, it's been really a more recent development, and that's true in public meetings throughout, certainly throughout our area, the county and the state, and I think nationally as well. And that more and more, the more we bring it forward and normalize it and have it just be a part of who we are as a country, the more inclusive we are. You really, if you don't do it, you have to say, at this point, we're at the point where you have to question why you're not doing it, I think. Because everyone is on unceded land from someone. That's where we are. So there is that. I did want to talk a little bit today about culture wars. And the first thing that came up, because it is so extreme, is the decision that was made by the superintendent of schools in Charlotte County, Florida. And that superintendent has made the decision to remove all textbooks, or any book, all books that have any reference to a LGBTQ character in the book. So if a person in the book is a character has two moms or two dads, or there's a conversation around that, well, that book has to go. This is as extreme as you can get when you're looking at having this whole community become invisible, right? So
Targeted.
totally, completely targeted and just eliminated.
Yeah, yeah.
So nobody can write a report on it. You can't discuss it. It's not there.
And I think about the books where there's characters actually who are even these are adolescent books, like middle school, where they talk about those issues in themselves, and they're very informative, instructive. Probably that book would be more.
Absolutely, because
yeah, there's books that it's called bibliotherapy or something like that that have issues and problems. Sometimes you read a book and you talk about the characters in the book as a way of getting to that child's issues also. So there's so many ways that books can be used with students about those issues. But now we're just oh my gosh, ostracizing them completely. I mean, and
completely.
what if they're not gay, but they're just like effeminate, or if they seem to be, that's it, you're out. Or I mean, who's making this judgment call about what is or what?
Well, this is the other whole thing about this. So you look at this book, because there was the rules were put forward by the superintendent, and when people ask questions and say, do you mean everything? And he says, yes. If there's a reference to two daddies or two mommies, do you mean that book has to be gone? Yes. Even if that's not a main character, if there's a reference, yes. Everything. So we're just eliminating it.
And who is this guy again?
He's the superintendent of schools of Charlotte County, Florida.
Of the district.
Well, the way it is in Florida, I think the county, he's the county superintendent, but I think that's how they're organized. Their districts are organized by county. It's different in Florida. So he has a lot of children under his or her. I look at his name. I think it was his. His name is, because
and is there
Mark? His name is Mark Vianello. So superintendent Vianello.
Are they appointed or elected? Do we know that? I wonder. Curious.
I think they're hired by the board.
By the board, yeah.
That is elected.
Yeah, that's elected. So, okay, well, we got to watch that and keep an eye on that. So it's just outrageous, getting more and more outrageous, isn't it?
No, this is absolutely. And so what we can certainly assume from this is that Charlotte County is not going to be the only Florida county to adopt this.
No, it's going to pass.
It's got to go through Florida, and then it's going to go to Texas, and then it's going to, it's going to continue to keep moving. And there is every reason to believe that. And there's every reason to believe that the community groups that are also funded by really anti-gay organizations are going to be all over the country, as they have been growing, right? So that California, nowhere is going to be protected from having this conversation. That's really what this is. We're having the conversation again. We thought we had it. We thought we had gotten past it, some of us, but we haven't gotten past it.
No. And every election, they put $1 million behind somebody who has those views they want, and they buy that seat, basically. So everywhere. It happened to the county offices here in California. So it's going to keep on happening. But there's people fighting against this.
There are, right? There are. And so there's a number of groups. One that I think has been really successful and has come out recently is called Red Wine, excuse me, and Blue. Red Wine and Blue. And Red Wine and Blue is channeling the power of suburban women who want to raise children for the 21st century. Right? They too want to, and this is the thing. These other moms for liberty, they want to raise their children, but they have a very specific set of rules that they want to inculcate in children, and they're specific to them. That's the issue here. Where these other families are saying, we don't want these books banned. We don't want them removed from our schools. And so this is the week where people are fighting book banning. And this organization, so you can go online and search them. They have the Book Ban Busters. That's who they call themselves. And they have a whole, I will put them on our Facebook page so that you can follow them, and also follow these strategies they've got where they want you to put hashtags into your posts. But basically, become aware of the fact that book banning now is a major issue in the United States.
It is. Yeah. Who would have thought at this point?
Right. We have gone backwards in a big, big way. And if you do, and the thing here is, if you do nothing, you're in agreement with them.
Oh yeah.
You really have to take a position here.
And when things like this happen, they say there's three actors in it. There's the victims, the perpetrators, and the people who stand by.
Right.
You stand by, you're helping this thing happen. So we've got to make sure that that's a small number of people who stand by. We've got to all take action about this and be prepared. And I do see a lot of things like they've got a book banning book clubs that only read the banned books, or they've got read-ins. And so there's a lot of ways you could support it. And the American Library Association has lots of activities on there, ways whether you're a parent or a teacher or administrator or whatever.
You can Google it. There are many ways to support organizations that are opposing the book bans. But and so any and all of those ways are good. The idea is to find your way to be part of it. And if you're in a school system, and if you're an administrator or a teacher, there are lots of supports for you as well. But we do have to recognize how scary this is. So if you were teaching in Charlotte County, Florida, your options are different, right? Because you're going to be fired.
Yeah, basically. So that's what a hostile work environment to have that.
This is a huge problem there. This is a huge problem, and especially for families. I mean, the fact of the matter is there are thousands of gay families in Florida, and they're all essentially being persecuted now.
Yes, that's
right. I mean, it's a very, very regressive stance that we're taking as a country here. So that's that. So in terms of our culture wars, that's what's happening. In terms of some other wars, there are a couple of local school districts that are teetering on going on strike, where the teachers are looking at unresolved contract disputes. And one of them right now is San Francisco, although a new offer just came in for them, and they hopefully will come to a resolution with their superintendent, Superintendent Wayne. And I hope they do, but they certainly did. They got more money than, well, they're raising it up, right? They're always, everybody's asking, and there's the tension between what is the ask and what you're going to get. But they were given certainly a big raise. And what I was struck with was that the district did meet the hourly rate that the union wanted for the paraprofessionals, and that hourly rate now is $30 an hour, and that's, I think, one of the highest rates for paraprofessionals that I've seen. But what they're doing is having to compete with the salaries that are on the peninsula, the San Mateo County salaries, which they have to compete with, because that's their neighboring, those are their neighboring districts, and those districts have historically had set the bar for local salaries. And then the other place that's going, it might go on strike, that's a school district, is Fresno. They too are looking at money, but also class size, and another set of issues that they have. So they've voted. They're all voting, or in the process of authorizing strike votes. So we'll see with both of them. Hopefully by the next time that we meet, we'll be able to tell you how they got resolved. A best practice that I wanted to share was around mental health. And this came out of a tragedy in Berkeley Unified, where they had a high school student who committed suicide. And that led to the board having a report, basically a mental health report on the mental health of their students. And they determined that 20% of their high school students have considered suicide, right? Which I think this is a very thorough report, and I don't think it's unique to Berkeley for any reason, because there's really no reason that it should be that I could think of. But it just shows the pressure that our high school students are under, and the depression that they're vulnerable to.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember, like, especially when we did our mentoring of our girls group, we had a lot of people come in. I mean, teens, I think it's the most stressful time of a person's life because of the different pressures, parents, from students, from each other, from the media, and from yourself, people putting pressure on themselves. So it's a very high pressure kind of time of life. And I could see kids getting very overwhelmed.
Exactly. Yeah. So they came up with, solutions, strategies that the Berkeley Unified is going to employ. And the main ones are to make people aware of, so that teachers are more and more aware of what to look for, and also to provide more services for them, right? To have more counseling services available, and to have those counseling services be culturally appropriate, to have a larger number of counselors who are people of color, who their students can relate to. All of those types of things can only help, right? So
really need to focus on this issue. It's so important for us.
It is, right, totally. So it's a big shout out to Berkeley for doing it, for identifying, for being willing to do the report, identify it, and then to identify the strategies that they're going to have to follow. I'll go ahead. Why don't we talk about the county? What's happening at the county before I do the follow-up?
Yeah, I haven't, we haven't had a meeting or anything since our last one where we got the board members. And I'm going to make sure I remind the superintendent about her idea of, just like the county has these curriculum councils around math, all the math people come to the county. Well, we could have a student, people who are on student boards, on district boards, come together and have a council where they talk also about.
Absolutely. I think that's such a great idea, so that they can have a peer-to-peer conversations and share out what it's like to be on a school board. Where else do they get to do that, right?
Their voice is so important, and they could talk about issues that we just, like the ones we talked about, books,
exactly,
mental health issues, and they can help a lot. So I'm going to remind, maybe put it on the agenda about the forming of that. I think it's very, very important. So one wonderful thing I did, I go to Richmond High. I'm on their school site council. I encourage people to get on their local school site councils and
Which people can do, you don't have to have a child in the school.
nope.
There's a place for community members. People don't realize this, but there is a place for community members on your local school site council. And this is not being in the classroom, but this is making decisions around how basically how things are funded and what programs are brought in.
And what they're spending on these different programs. So it's a public meeting, so anybody could go, even if you're not on there. And some are really strict in that they only let people talk who are on that committee, but usually some are more less formal and they'll take public comment. And so it's good to have, you can have some input on some of the things that are going on as well. So and I taught at Richmond High, and I've been in this district for a while before I retired. And so Richmond High's kind of been a school that I mentored students in, and I'm going to create the Future Teacher Club there at Richmond High. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun. And one of the other things that they talked about, I'm very concerned about, is the arts money for the arts. 28,
Prop 28. Yeah.
28. And I do believe that the money has been allocated to the districts, because they had a number. They already knew how much they were getting. So I think the district has it, but they have not distributed to the schools yet. I think that's where they are. But school has started, and you want to have things for your band or your choir or your
Well, that's right. And the district and the schools were made aware of the fact. I mean, this is money that was allocated because the citizens of the voters of California voted to give this money to the arts in our public schools. So it's supposed to be delivered to the schools so that they can, in fact, hire the professionals they need to expand these services. And they really need, I mean, it needs to be now. It's supposed to be happening.
Yes, so there's so many times when things come down to this district, West Contra Costa, very slow moving. So they need to hurry up and get this stuff, because students are waiting. Students are waiting for all of these great
These
things.
teachers aren't going to teach if you don't pay them. This is the thing.
That's the way it works.
Yeah.
So that was a nice get together with Hi. And yeah, so the arts thing was a big topic there. Oh, and community schools, because our district has a history with community schools.
Yep.
I came to this district in 1998. Helms Middle School was a community school. It had a partnership with the city, San Pablo, and they had all these resources for parents, for kids, I had never been in a school like it, and that's why I stayed there till I retired, because it was a community school. So now they're using that model much more, and it's come to the mainstream, and it works. So yeah, it was wonderful to see it. And right now, everybody's in the process of how do we assess, make sure we're doing what we say we're going to do. So that's good. That's good. Assessments are important. We assess our effectiveness, kind of thing. So that was happening there. And just want to let people know we're starting a local retired teacher group chapter from CTA NEA, and we should be starting up very soon, and we're going to be very active in our schools. I'll just tell you
That's right.
Right now, we're going to be very visible in the schools, with students, with teachers, with that's what we really want to do. And especially for me, the teacher shortage is the big one, because there's a lot of retired teachers who want to sub, and so how do we make those things happen?
That's right. That is it is such a obvious fix. It's one of the fixes that we can make. And then the two parts where the first one was done, the legal barrier was removed so that there had been these legal requirements that you couldn't go back and sub right away, with the idea being that you're taking a job away from a new teacher. But we don't have any new teachers. That's what we have, the shortage. And so that the purpose of putting that requirement in there was it served no purpose. And what it did was exacerbate the teacher shortage and the empty classrooms.
Yeah.
So it's an opportunity to try to fill classrooms with people that really do want to be there, and find creative ways to do it so that you can still have your retirement and be in classrooms and in a classroom too.
So, yeah, that was it. That was it for me. And we, I like to stop in a good thing. We're doing some good things locally. We start locally.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I did want to do one update, because we talked about this last week, and that was the ballot measure that was going to be on that may still be on the ballot, the tax measure that changes the rate of passage for parcel taxes, right? And it's for parcel taxes for school districts, but also for cities and other local government agencies. And Cal Cities has put, basically it is now in the court system, because they're fighting it in the court system right now. So there's a variety of steps that have to be taken. And by the time, perhaps when we come back next time for our next episode here, we'll know what has happened, or at least the progress that they're making in court. But that's a complicated funding issue, but it's a really important one, because it completely changes how not only our school districts but our cities are funded.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
You gotta watch that one.
So that's coming up. And then I did want to say that the CSBA, the California School Board Association, went and did form, or is in the process of forming, a second cohort for their education workforce housing program. So we don't know who's in that cohort yet, but we do know that they are creating one, and we will let you know what happens, and hopefully share out resources for anybody who's interested in bringing education workforce housing into their community, to their school districts, into their county, wherever you may be. California has made it much easier to do it. And you can now, the school districts can be part of the solution to the housing crisis and the homelessness crisis in California.
And look on the Facebook Friends Workforce Housing. You'll get all the latest information there, and even some history about it. And so
that's right. And get a link to the Google Drive that has a lot of presentations. So if you're interested, that's the place to go. It's Friends of Education Workforce Housing on Facebook. It's a Facebook. It's not a page. It's a group, but everybody gets to join the group. So come and join. And finally, I want to give a shout out to the good people at Red Wine and Blue for all the work they're doing as book banning busters, right? Being the anti book ban group that they have become, they're doing an extraordinary amount of work in a really important area that unfortunately we never thought we had to go back to, but we do. So a shout out to them and to everything they're doing, and all of the other groups are doing to fight the book bans.
Yeah, absolutely. Good for them. Shout out to them.
Absolutely. So till next time, we'll be a couple of weeks before we get back, but we will see you then. Bye-bye from Between Two Teachers.